I want to encourage each and every one of you. I've said that this program is designed to help you. Sometimes the help comes in ways of encouragement. Most of the time, people need to be encouraged. You need to be encouraged this morning.
Today, what I would like to talk to you guys is about attention. Who's got our attention? Who has our attention? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about who am I giving my attention to? Do you ever think attention is important? Do we ever think about these things? Well, we want to talk about attention. Why? Because whoever has your attention is your teacher. And we can just close right there. Whoever has your attention is your teacher. And you're learning from this person or this thing or this TV sitcom that you continue to see. Anything that has a hold of your attention has the potential of being your teacher. You ready? We're going to talk about distractions. We're going to talk about detours and distortions. And we're going to use the example of Christ Jesus' temptation before his crucifixion to kind of tie this in. Where our attention goes, our power flows. Those of you who like to take notes, and I encourage you to take notes because it's the only way we're going to learn. You're not going to remember this by the time you get out. I know you're already thinking about your pizza or your turkey club sandwich or your Caesar salad, whatever it is. Take notes. Listen to the principle. The principle says, where our attention goes, our power flows. Where our attention goes, think about it, our power flows. What is this talking about? What does it mean? It means that we as individuals, wherever our attention is, we're going to marshal our resources to that cause. In other words, your time, your energy, your effort, your money, your creativeness, your mind, your intellect, your everything is going to be marshaled towards that cause that has your attention. Again, where your attention goes, your power flows. And why is that important? Well, because we only have a limited time on earth. And if we do not harness our time or our attention, we're going to give everything to that which does not merit our attention or our resources. In other words, we will waste time. We will waste valuable resources that cannot be replenished. Whenever, or wherever I should say, whatever commands our attention also commands our direction. Let me repeat that once again for those of you who are writing this down. Whatever commands our attention also commands our direction. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I going this way? Why am I going that way? Why do I continually do the same? I know this is the wrong thing. Why do I continue doing the same old, same old? Whatever has your attention or commands your attention will also command your direction. Now, I know you might be saying, this isn't true. Well, let me give you guys a couple of, or maybe one example, and you tell me if it's true or not, because I may be lying. You may prove me to be false. How many understand that your mind never sleeps? Some of you guys' mind is sleeping right now, right? Our mind never sleeps. Our mind is awake all the time. And even when we don't want to think, what is our mind doing? And how do we know our mind is thinking? We're dreaming, but most importantly, we hear our mind speaking to us. Do you ever hear yourself talking to yourself and you go, am I going crazy? You're not going crazy. It's your mind speaking to you because your mind is always speaking. Your mind is always awake. And so when you are walking down and you walk down past the refrigerator and you've already had that chocolate donut, let's say, right? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this voice comes and says, yeah, go get it. Get the rest of it. And God? No, it wasn't God. You heard, right? Something say, go get it. And so now, because your attention is drawn towards the donut, it changes your direction. You was going to do something else, but all of a sudden it was interrupted and your direction was changed. You see, where our attention is, or whatever commands our attention, will also command our direction. Does that make sense? So our life moves in the direction of our greatest thoughts. Write it down. Our life moves in the direction of our greatest thoughts. In other words, what we're thinking of is this constant conversation in our minds. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This happens to us all the time. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I go? Should I not go? Should I spend this? Should I buy that? Should I just save the money? There's this constant thinking that's going on, and our life will move in the direction of our greatest thought. Did you ever think, how did I get myself here? Have you ever been in a place where you say, my God, what did I do? How did I get myself here? Well, I'm giving you some keys so that you can, if you don't like where you've been, where you're going, or where you continue to end up, so that we can change this. What is the key? What is the principle? Our life will move in the direction of our greatest thoughts. And our greatest thought is what we're focused on, and what we focus on commands and demands our attention. Now, all this stuff is going on in the background subconsciously. We don't even know that it's happening, but it's happening. It's kind of like a computer. Everyone here is very, very familiar with computers. When you turn on a computer, right, there's all these apps in the background running, correct? You don't have to worry about it. They're there if you need them, if you want them. They're automatically by default running. And the only way that they stop is if you intentionally interrupt them, or you stop them, or you disable them. But if not, they continually run. So life, like a predator in our lives, if we are fixed on a prey, like a hunter, like a lion, then whatever our target is, that's what we're going to go towards. If we're like a predator, if we're just focused, if we're fixed on a prey, if you've ever seen a cat, some of you guys have had cats in your house, some of you guys have cats, and you know that a cat, once it's fixed its attention on something, its target, right? It's fixed, baby. I'm not moving, I'm not budging. I mean, that's everything else can go to Hades. This is what I'm focused on, and our life is in the same way. Our life, once our attention is given over to something, just like that cat, we are not going to be moved until we get that thing. I don't know about you guys, but that's what happens to me. Now, you tell me if it doesn't happen to you or not. Does it happen to you guys? Are you the same? The more that you start focusing on something, the more apt you are to do it. For example, if you start looking at a shirt, and this shirt or this dress or shoes, whatever you want to put it, or this TV, whatever, it costs a lot more than what you should be spending. But the more you continue to fix your attention on it, sooner or later your resolve becomes weakened until you just give up. And what do? It comes on Amazon, 2-day express, Prime Amazon, right? Because your attention was on that target, and that target became something that changed your direction. You knew you should have saved it. All of a sudden it changed. We're talking about attention. So priorities are determined by our value system. Priorities are determined by our value system. Write it down. In other words, what our worldview, our belief system, or our philosophy of life, whatever it greatly values, it automatically prioritizes. Whatever you see in your worldview that is of importance, you're going to prioritize. So what we define in our mind as being worthy, or what we assign worth to, moves to the front of the line every time. Whatever we think is worthy, or we assign worth to, we always move that to the front of the line. That's why some of us don't get things done. So we place at the top of our list what's most precious to us all the time. Priorities. Priorities are a result of our value system. We're talking about attention. We're talking about what captivates our attention, what commands our attention. And priorities is going to be something that what we prioritize is going then to capture our attention. Why? Because we put that as the most important thing. We put it at the top of our list, first in the line. And so we're going to go for those things. So what we give our attention to, we are attentive of, or we tend to whatever we treasure in our hearts. What we give our attention to, we are attentive to, or we tend to. Why? Because it's a treasure of our heart. We're attentive to what we give attention to, and we tend to whatever it is that we value in our hearts. We're talking about attention. Whatever has our attention also demands our attendance. Whatever has our attention will also demand our attendance. Another principle for you to write down. This is why some of us have no problem going to A, but a huge problem going to B. Some of us are okay with going to C, but not so well going to F. Why? Because we are not valuing, or we're not prioritizing those things as much because they don't have our attention. So there is little to no competition to whatever we have given our allegiance to. There's no competition. For those of you who are married, when it comes to your children, who competes? When they're asking you for attention, who competes? Nobody, right? You don't care about the whole world could be falling apart. You could be in the Titanic and it's going down. And if your child is talking to you, you're going to give them your attention. There is little to no competition to whatever we have already given our allegiance, because what we give our attention to, we also give over our allegiance. We'll gladly give our greatest asset, which is time, which time is something we cannot redeem in the sense of we can't get more of it. We gladly give our greatest asset, which is our time, and it's like we give it away like a water to what we hold as valuable. We will do those things, and we have done that. So priorities or prioritizing is the result of what? Your and mine, my value system. Value system. Value system. Value system. No wonder Jesus Christ says, seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be added to us. You see, he was talking about a value system, a value system, a value system. He was talking about the right value system. He was talking about the kingdom system. So I want to talk about a flawed value system. A flawed value system, whatever has our attention also holds our devotion. Whatever has our attention also holds our devotion. So that is good, and it's also not so good. Why? Because of value system. If we have the wrong devotions, we're going to have the wrong value system. So what are some of the things in a flawed value system? Having a flawed value system is why some believers like you and I, maybe sometimes we may neglect or even abandon God, our prayer time, our reading of the scriptures, talking to others, evangelizing, helping others, loving others, serving others. It's just one of the ways that it is manifested. It's why we'll neglect and abandon our spouse, our marriages, our families, our children, our home, our room, our hygiene, our bodies. Because of why? Because we're expressing or demonstrating or from the source of a flawed value system. It's why children dishonor their parents and honor their friends instead. Why? Because they are valuing their, their friends over their parents. Their value system is flawed. It's why we disrespect and dishonor authority. Why? Because our value system is flawed. It's why we're constantly procrastinating and leaving for later what we know we should be doing today. Why? We have a flawed value system. In other words, we're putting at the front of the line or at the top of the list what should not be there. It's why we become lazy towards what matters and diligent towards the things that don't matter. Why? Because we operating from a flawed value system. Procrastination, negligence, and laziness are the result of a distorted value system that gives preference and diligence to nonsense. Let me say that one more time. Procrastination, negligence, and laziness are the result of a distorted value system that gives preferences and diligence. Can you imagine giving diligence to nonsense? But yet we all do it all the time. Have you been guilty of that? Absolutely. You know you should be doing X, but you go and you do Z, right? You know you should be doing this. You should be really dedicating. You know you have a deadline. You understand this, but you still go and you make justifications for the other thing. Our value system is flawed in some way because we will never go above our value system. Laziness is a good example because most of us, if not all, we've had to deal with laziness. If you're never had to deal with laziness, then don't ever read the book of Proverbs. It's not for you. I have to read the book of Proverbs because I can become lazy in many areas of my life. Laziness is usually equated with idleness or inactivity, but that's not all it is. It's not about movement. It's not about, constantly doing something. That's not so much what, or not doing something. That's not what laziness is. It's not so much about how little you're moving or how slow you're moving. That's not what laziness really is. I want to suggest to you something else. Because some of the laziest people I know are extremely busy. Let me say that one more time. Some of the laziest people that I've known are extremely busy. I got no time. 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 I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I got no time. You will see why I say that it's laziness. Many use busyness as an escape from being perceived as lazy. So even though they understand that they're being lazy, they use the busyness to escape from being labeled as lazy. Laziness at its core essence has more to do with irresponsibility than mobility or activity. Say that one more time. Laziness at its core essence has more to do with irresponsibility than mobility or inactivity. So laziness is really equated with irresponsibility. Make sense? Some people will do a lot, but neglect their responsibilities. True? Have you been there? Have you done that? We're talking about attention. We're talking about how laziness will draw your attention to the nonsense and neglect the other things. Staying busy while neglecting your responsibility is still laziness. Responding or responsibility understands the value system of priorities and prioritizes accordingly. Responsibility is about responding to your God-given ability. It's about reflecting trustworthiness and faithfulness as image bearers of God because He is trustworthy and He is always faithful. Responsibility is about responding to your God-given ability. And anytime that we choose laziness, we're cutting ourselves short from the greatness of God working in and through us. When we settle for mediocrity or procrastination or laziness, we are stopping, we are disconnecting from the unlimited reservoir resource of God rushing through our lives. Why? Because it feels good to be lazy. It feels good to be lazy. And yet, that will cost us God's move in our lives, either a little bit or much. So, we know that Satan came to steal, to kill, and what else? And to destroy. So, here are 3 tactics that I believe he uses to try to accomplish it: distractions, doubts, and distortions. Again, we're talking about attention. We're talking about the power and the purpose of attention. So distractions. A distraction, what is it? I'm going to give you 2 quick definitions. Anything that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else. What is a distraction? Anything that prevents someone from giving their full attention to something else. It's also an extreme agitation of the mind or emotions. That's a distraction. So we're going to talk about the temptation of Jesus. We're going to read a couple of scriptures in the time that we have left, and we'll see how far we get, okay? So don't get nervous. I'm not going to keep you guys here over the time. The temptation of Jesus. You guys are here? You're with me? Yes. All right. After service, we're giving away a car. What? I didn't say what kind of car exactly or what size. The temptation of Jesus. Jesus had finished a 40-day fast, right? He had just finished a 40-day fast. He was focused. He was in the zone. Man, he was there. He was in this thing. He was locked into his purpose, a 40-day fast. And then Satan interrupts Jesus with a distraction. He says, I know you're hungry, Jesus. I heard your stomach rumbling all the way from hell. You know what? If you're really the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. So we see that Satan comes in as a distraction because Christ was attentive, he was focused, his attention was complete to his purpose, and Satan comes in and offers a distraction. Now notice that he offered a distraction on what was going on with Jesus. Jesus had just fasted 40 days. At 40 days, I'll be thinking about Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'll be thinking about Japanese food. I'll be thinking about everything and anything. Pizza, that's right. I'll be thinking about everything. Give me whatever. I don't care. Satan interjected himself as a valid distraction. So after 40 days without eating, Jesus had to be hungry. What do you guys think? Hungry and thirsty, right? But Satan's purpose was to distract Jesus from his purpose. Say, Satan's purpose is to distract me from my purpose. So Satan's purpose is to distract you. Don't forget it from your purpose. Write it down. Tattoo it on your lower back. No, that's not true. Don't do that. So I'm going to read the scriptural account. Luke 4, 1-4 says, and Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by the devil. And he ate nothing during those days. And when they were ended, he was hungry. The devil said to him, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread. And Jesus answered him, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone. Again, my question is, after eating nothing for 40 days, do you think that turning stones into bread was a temptation? Absolutely. If not, it would not be called the temptation of Jesus Christ. So obviously, turning stones into bread, the devil knew where to hit him. He knew what to offer to him. Turn these breads or these stones into bread. Man, I would have been like, toasted buttered bread with cafe. My God. That would have been a temptation for me after 40 days of eating nothing. So those are distractions. The enemy came in and offered him a distraction, but Jesus did not take the distraction the enemy can offer. You can reject and eject. You don't have to take what the enemy offers. You can say no, thank, keep all that garbage to yourself. Detours. A detour is to avoid or bypass something by taking an alternative route, or two, a change of direction, or to turn away. Notice that we're talking about what Satan tried to do to take Christ's attention away from his purpose, which was the crucifixion, which was the complete redemption of humanity. When the distraction didn't work, Satan used another one of his tactics, which is a detour. Quickly, Luke 4:5-8. And the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time, and said to him, to you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me, and I give it to whom I will. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours. And Jesus answered him, it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. So Jesus rejects the detour. But Satan showed up and he said, look, Jesus, since day one, all you've been teaching and preaching about is the kingdom. Do kingdom. Everything is the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom. You and your kingdom. I know you want to restore the kingdom that man lost through Adam when he ate the fruit in the Garden of Eden. So here's what I'm going to do, Jesus. Are you ready? I got a deal for you, buddy. All the kingdoms are mine. All the power is, all the things of this world are. So guess what? Look, I'm going to hand it over to you. All you got to do is worship me. Look, this is a shortcut. This is a detour. And better, you don't have to get punished. You're not going to feel one whip. You're not going to feel a punch, a spit in your face, a slap, the crowns, the thorns. You're not going to feel the crucifixion. You're not going to have to die. All you got to do is what? Just worship me. Jesus rejected the detour. Are there going to be distractions in your life to try to distract you from your purpose, to try to grab your attention? Absolutely. Are there going to try to be detours that the enemy will introduce to try to distract you by grabbing your attention? Absolutely. There are going to be those things. So question, do you think that taking an easier detour, a painless one, a one without suffering for Jesus was a temptation? What do you think? Absolutely. Why? Because it would not be called the temptation of Jesus Christ if it didn't tempt him. As a matter of fact, when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, what happened to him? He was in such agony and distress that he began to sweat blood. So it was a great temptation, was it not? He rejected it. He said no. And the last one is a distortion. The enemy said, look, okay, cool. A distortion, he said, you didn't go for my distraction. You didn't go for my detour. I'm going to try my distortion now. So a distortion, what is it? A change, a twist or exaggeration that makes something appear different from the way it really is. Number two, it's not truly representing the facts or reality. And the third version says presenting something in a way that makes it look different from the truth. Ain't that like the devil? All the way in Genesis, he said, did God really say? He is a distortionist. So, distracting Jesus from the cross by using his desires and what he needed didn't work. Detouring him didn't work. So now came the distortion. So Satan had one more temptation up his sleeve. Satan is now going to take advantage of Christ's weakened state, in his human state. And he's going to try to sell his truth to Christ as the truth. Remember, all this time, Satan is using the scriptures, but he's using them according to his interpretation, not to God's communication. So he was twisting it. He was making it not be like reality. Remember, Satan distorted and twisted God's truth in his word. So Satan's ultimate goal was deception. From distortion, he wants you to get to doubt, to question, and get you to deception. Okay, Luke 4, 9-13. And he took him to Jerusalem and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. And Jesus answered him, it is said, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test. And when the devil had ended every temptation, he departed from him until an opportune time. So Satan's saying, look, throw yourself down from this high place, dude. God will not let you die. He's a father. Hasn't he promised it? He's a good father, isn't he? I mean, he won't let you die because he needs you to go to the cross, right? He needs you to go there. He's going to send his angels and he's going to keep you from even bruising a little finger, a toenail. It's not going to happen. Who knows? Maybe God, when he sees that you launch yourself from up there, maybe God will receive that as the ultimate sacrifice for humanity. Can you imagine that? Now, this is not in the Bible. I'm just taking a creative license here. Think about it. Hey, he's tempting Jesus. He's saying, if you do this and you give your life this way, maybe it'll be, who knows? Maybe God will accept it as the sacrifice for humanity. And you won't have to go through the shame and the pain of the cross, the humiliation. You won't have to go through the crucifixion. You won't have to go through death and hell. So maybe, hey, you never know. I'm just offering it up to you, because I love you. I'm saying, I love you. You're right. I'm looking out for you. That's right. I'm just looking out for you, bro. Just me and you. So maybe this will be enough. God's not really that cruel, is he? I mean, he really doesn't want you to go to the cross. I think this will be sufficient. Okay? You jump down. It'll be over before you know it. And who knows? Maybe before you hit the ground, the angels hold and you hit hard enough to die, but not mucho. You don't get hurt a lot. Okay? Look, let's come to that compromise. This sounds good to me. What about to you? You are in your greatest need, and here comes the enemy, and he's giving you a way out of your suffering and your pain and your agony, and because Christ knew what was up ahead. Was Christ agonizing? Yeah, we're told that he sweat blood. The agony was so real that he was sweating blood. So Christ was in a distress mode, was he not? He knew what was coming. And here Christ is offering him this liberty. Man, you can get out if you want. But we know it was a distortion of the truth because it would not have been prophetically accurate. It would not have helped what God had already spoken. So question, have you ever been in such a stressful situation that you've gotten confused? God, is this you? Is this true or is this not you? God, do you want me to go this way? You want me to go that way? Has that happened to you? God, is this you speaking to me or is it just me? Is it okay for me to go this way or should I hold on to what you spoke to me last year, 2 years, 5 years ago? God, I'm in such a distress. I don't know. The enemy comes to distort truth. So the enemy is after your attention. Why? Because, are you ready? If you didn't take them down, I'm going to give you the principles and we're going to end. The enemy wants to steal, to captivate, to capture our attention. Why? Because where our attention goes, our power will flow. Because where or whatever commands our attention also commands our direction. And if it commands our direction, ultimately will also command our destination. Why does the enemy want to captivate our attention? Because whatever has our attention demands our attendance. Whatever commands our attention or has our attention also demands our attendance. This happened to us. I don't know if it's happened to you, it's happened to me. Forget about that girl, Tito. She's no good for you. Forget about her. But because my attention was there, it demanded my attendance. And I disregarded the counsel of the wise parent. I disregarded and I dishonored the parent to go with this distraction, this detour, this distortion. And I paid a price. Whatever has our attention demands our attendance. And the last one, whatever has our attention also holds our devotion. Whatever has our or holds our attention also holds our devotion. Now, these are principles that you may not think they're true, but they are in operation, functioning behind the scenes every single day of our lives, just like an app is. It's functioning by default. All these things and everything that has our attention, we're going to have to look at it. We're going to have to filter it through the word of truth to see if it merits our attention or if it doesn't merit our attention. Does that make sense? Will this help you guys starting Monday and how you're going to change your direction starting today? Good. All right, let's get on our feet. It's time to go. Thank you for your attention.